Hi everyone, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jess. I'm 31 years old. I am pregnant with my first child, a beautiful baby girl that we have decided to name Noah. And this is my very first vlog. So I've been wanting to do a vlog actually for a really long time now. I've been talking about it with my husband, and it kind of all started when I first got pregnant and I was overwhelmed with the amount of support and love that I got from my friends and my family. I'm very fortunate that I have a very large group of friends, all of which are pregnant and or have already had children of their own, as well as family members who are in the same boat. So it's been really easy and for me to kind of reach out to them, ask them questions that I have, be able to relate, and just feel supported. And then I started thinking, what about those women who may not have that same support that I do, which is totally fine. But I felt that, it was something that I wanted to help with and maybe establish a community for women who are new moms or are pregnant, who are just looking for a group of people to talk to and connect with. I've never really had the confidence to do it, but the silver lining through this whole isolation is that it's the perfect time to. And I think more so now than ever, just because obviously everybody's isolated, and maybe if you're already feeling alone, you're feeling even more alone now, so more than ever. So what I decided to talk about today is pregnancy symptoms. So we'll talk about trimester 1 and trimester 2. I'm not in my third trimester yet, so I can't speak to that, but I figured I would share some tips and tricks that worked for me to get through those first few months. Now, I will be clear, I am not a medical expert when it comes to pregnancy. I'm not a doctor. This is solely based off my personal experience. So let's get started. Trimester 1, a friggin' nightmare. If you were anything like me, I was nauseous from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, all day, every day. I only threw up a handful of times, which was actually a little bit more, it was worse in my opinion, because every time I did throw up, I felt so much better. So that constant nausea was really difficult for me. So some of the things that I found that help were saltine crackers. So for me, saltine crackers were something that didn't necessarily take the nausea away, but it definitely kept it at bay. I found if I snacked on them all the time, that it definitely suppressed that constant overwhelming sickness feeling. I would keep a pack beside my bed. I would keep a pack in my purse. I would keep a pack at work. Everywhere I went, it was a huge, huge lifesaver. Another big symptom I have, and I think that's probably the most common symptom with most pregnant women, is exhaustion. And this is like a completely different level of exhaustion. It's overwhelming and completely, entirely consuming. Getting through work was a nightmare. I've said from day one, they should be implementing some sort of friggin', I don't know, mat leave for first trimester, because work was almost unbearable. And if you're anything like me, I found it was a little difficult for my spouse to understand. And it would drive me insane when he would say things like, "Oh, you're tired, I'm tired too." Are you? Are you really? Because this isn't tired. This is like next level. Another big one for me that started the second I got pregnant was constipation. Let me tell you, this shit ain't easy. Okay? I feel like all the pregnancy symptoms that you experience are prepping you for when the baby comes in childbirth, because if it's taught me anything, I feel as though I'm fully prepared to push out this child. Let's be honest. On top of the exhaustion was also insomnia, where I would have a lot of difficulty sleeping, on top of the exhaustion. So it was almost like they were battling each other. So a couple of tips that worked for me, for both the exhaustion, insomnia, as well as the constipation. Constipation was prune juice, not the best, but I didn't really want to take any supplements or anything like that. And I found that eating certain foods that would help with bowel movements, as much as it sucked to try to get them down, still helped with the overall experience. And then with the exhaustion, really just trying to get as much sleep as possible. I was very open with my work right away when I shared with them that I was pregnant. And this allowed me to not feel guilty about being tired all the time and maybe not being able to put in 100%. So I feel like being open about it and honest. Some women don't like to do that. And again, I think it depends on where you work and the type of relationship you have at work. But for me, I felt it helped. Didn't help necessarily the exhaustion. I think that was inevitable, but I didn't feel as guilty about it. Insomnia, the biggest thing was stay away from your phone. And I know that that's really, really difficult, but I found if I would wake up and get on my phone, it actually caused me to stay awake a lot longer than if I got up and had a bath, or had a glass of warm water, tea, milk, and just tried to do things to help me fall asleep. I found the times where I would just sit on my phone, I ended up just getting sucked into my phone and staying up a lot later. So I did find that those helped quite a lot. Second trimester has been a lot better. My energy has come back like crazy. I feel like completely back to myself, if not better. And I know that doesn't necessarily happen for all women, but it definitely happened for me. My number one advice for this is take advantage of it. Prepare for your baby coming now, because this is when you have the most energy. I've been told that the third trimester, you kind of start to feel like you did in the first trimester, mainly because you're so big. And I can say now that I'm about a week away from the third trimester, I am already starting to notice a huge difference. I cleaned the house yesterday and I felt like I ran a freaking marathon. So take advantage of that feeling in the second trimester. My appetite completely came back. I ate absolutely anything and everything. And if you do, don't feel bad about it. For me, the first trimester, I was so nervous that I wasn't eating enough to support nourishing my child. But I was told that just eat what you can. Second trimester, I definitely indulged, and I have indulged, but I've been trying to eat a little bit healthier just to make sure that her growth is obviously, with good food and not McDonald's, which I love. But yeah, the constipation is still there. I mean, I don't think that goes away. I am very nervous for post-birth of what that's going to be like. I feel like it's going to be a horror movie in itself. The insomnia is starting to come back. Trying really hard to stay off my phone. Again, especially being in isolation, it's my number one go-to. But don't really have any more tips with that. Anyways, trying not to make this too long, but if you're anything like me, the symptoms were ongoing. Baby brain, don't even get me started. I feel like I was just born, like my brain is just never there. My husband makes fun of me all the time for it. Ladies, it ain't fun. And apparently it doesn't go away. So, that's it for today in terms of my tips and tricks. Things that I found to helped me through the first trimester, and shedding some hope for the second trimester. Third trimester is still to come, but hang in there, ladies. Thanks for watching.